So, the anatomy of the nose, when you start from the external nares and the skeleton of the nose, the anterior part of the nose is made up of the cartilages, which is bound together by some fibrous tissue which is mobile. So, there are septal cartilages and some processes which is articulated with the bones of the nose, which is part of the maxillary bones, and the nasal bones, part of the frontal bone also. So, this is the anterior nares, and in the midline you can see the septal cartilage is there. Some part of the processes of the septal cartilage or the alert processes of the septal cartilage forms the upper part of the nose. It is more or less pyramidal in shape. The lower part of the anterior nares is formed by the fibrous tissue. So, when you put your endoscope, there are chances that these connections may get ruptured. So, do not manipulate more, the patient will get pain after the operation. Then comes the posterior nares. The posterior nares is larger than the anterior nares. You can see the dimension, and posterior nares is mainly formed by the pterygoid processes, the palatine bones and the part of the septum. And on the roof of the posterior nares, you know that there lies certain nerves here. So, be careful about that. Then comes the nasal septum. You are going to break the posterior part of the nasal septum, mostly you are familiar. In the upper and posterior part is formed by the perpendicular plate of the ethmoid bone. The lower part is formed by the vomer, and the anterior-inferior part is formed by the septal cartilage. The roof of the nasal cavity here, it is formed by the perpendicular plate of the ethmoid bone, and it is very thin. So, when you are introducing your endoscope, if you go more anteriorly, there are chances that this plate may get broken, and there may be post-operative rhinorrhea. The lateral wall of the nasal cavity is very important for you, because your first thing you are going to see is the skin with some hairs here. So, after that you are going to see this three concha. These are the skeleton of the concha, the superior, middle and inferior concha, the superior and middle part of the ethmoid bone, and the inferior nasal concha is a separate bone. And ethmoid has one uncinate process. The uncinate process of the ethmoid comes anteriorly, and the maxillary hiatus, you know that it is closed anteriorly by process of the lacrimal bone, posteriorly by the palatine bone. Then what happens, this hiatus is normally closed, this uncinate process of ethmoid bone, there is one foramen lies, the posterior to the ethmoid bone, another foramen is there. So, that is the main opening of the maxillary sinus into the inferior meatus. The anterior foramen is normally in life, it is closed. The mucosa is very important, because mucosa is highly vascular. So, when you introduce your endoscope, you see the inferior concha, and below the inferior concha you see the inferior meatus, and in line with the inferior meatus, if you go more posteriorly, you will see the eustachian tube. It just lies 1.25 centimeter behind the inferior nasal concha. This is the middle meatus. If you elevate the middle meatus slightly, you will see the bulla ethmoidalis, and bulla is caused by the ethmoidal ear cells. And this is the hiatus semilunaris, where all the sinuses open. You can see the orifice of the maxillary sinus just below the bulla ethmoidalis, and if you are very careful, you can see on the bulla there are certain openings. These are the openings of the ethmoidal, the anterior and middle group of ethmoidal ear sinuses, and the frontonasal duct opens in the anterior part of the middle meatus. Above that is the superior concha and the superior meatus, and if you go up, this area is the sphenoethmoidal recess. Sometimes you can get another concha here, or highest ethmoidal concha and the highest recess also. Above this you will see that opening of the sphenoidal ear sinus. The vascularity of the nasal cavity is very important, because it is highly vascular. You know that any trauma to this area or the littles area may give rise to bleeding, and as I was talking, here is the maxillary hiatus, or the maxillary hiatus opening. This is the middle meatus, middle concha actually. If you go straight, you will get this foramen, the sphenoparietal foramen, where the branches of the sphenoparietal artery and the nasoparietal nerves will be there. The nasal cavity is supplied by the four pairs of blood vessels, the anterior ethmoidal blood vessel, and artery, posterior ethmoidal artery, the sphenoparietal artery. These are the branches of the maxillary artery, and from the facial side, the facial arteries give some branches which supplies the lower part of the nasal septum and the nasal cavity, and they make a rich anastomosis in the nasal cavity and in the turbinates. Corresponding veins are also there, and they mostly drain into the sphenoparietal vein, which drains into the pterygoid venous plexus. The anterior part of the veins, they drain into the tributaries of the facial vein. The upper part they drain into the branches of the meningeal veins, and this is highly vascular tissue. Sometimes because of the intractable bleeding in this nose, you have to approach this sphenoparietal artery for ligation. Innervation of the nasal cavity is very important. The upper part, you know, this is the olfactory area, which is the upper 1/4 actually. If you damage this area, then there may be some olfactory problems, and if you damage this nasopalatine foramen, if you go towards this side, there may be damage of these nerves, and anesthesia will be there. So try to preserve the normal anatomy without damaging the structures. And the mucosa is also very important, because there is mucociliary movement. That movement is towards the nasopharynx, or the cilia moves towards the nasopharynx, so that secretions from nose go to the nasopharynx. That is why the preservation of the mucosa is very important. The nasal septum, here it is showing, the nasal septum is supplied by the nasopalatine branch of the pterygoparietal ganglia, the branch of the maxillary nerve. The sphenoid bone, you are going to see the sphenoid bone. So the three views of the sphenoid bone has been shown here. So this is the body of the sphenoid, these two, the lesser wing and the greater wing, and these are the pterygoid plates. Here it is forming the roof of the nasopharynx. You can see the anterior surface of the body. In the anterior surface of the body, actually these are the sphenoidal concha. Here the ethmoid articulates, and the posterior ethmoidal air cells become complete when they articulate with this part of the sphenoid, and this is the opening of the sphenoidal sinus. In the midline, this is called the sphenoidal crest, and a rostrum, the lower part, the sphenoidal rostrum is there. This is from the posterior surface. So this is the posterior part of the body of the sphenoid bone, which articulates with the occipital bone. You can see part of the dorsum celli and the greater wing and the lesser wing. Here is the cranial surface of the sphenoid bone. So the area which is important for you, this is the anterior margin of the lesser wing. Then this area is called the jugum sphenoidale, where the olfactory bulb and the olfactory gyrus rectus lies here. Then what you see, there is a sulcus. This is the sulcus chiasmaticus. The optic chiasma doesn't lie here, but slightly above it, which leads to the optic foramen. Behind that, there is an elevation called tuberculum celli, and lateral to the tuberculum celli, this is the middle clinoid process. The anterior clinoid process, you can see anterior clinoid process. The diaphragma celli is attached here. This is the sella turcica. So you are going to approach the sella turcica through the sphenoidal air sinus. So you have to know the relations of the sella turcica. So laterally, what you see is the internal carotid artery and making the siphon on the medial side of the anterior clinoid process. This is the dorsum celli, and these two are the posterior sphenoid posterior border, and here this is the clevus, which is continuous with the occipital bone. This is the posterior clinoid process. Here you already know that the fixed margin of the tentorium cerebelli is attached here. The fixed margin, the free margin is attached to the anterior clinoid process. Laterally, lateral to the sella turcica, this is the position of the cavernous sinus. The internal carotid artery with all those nerves lies here. So these are from our specimens, the anterior surface of the sphenoid with the opening, and the crest has been broken here, and on this part only the posterior ethmoidal cells articulate to complete the Onodi sinus. Onodi sinus is one of the largest sphenoid posterior group of ethmoidal air sinus, which lies in contact with the optic nerve. You know already that optic nerve lies here. And this is the pterygoid canal. The Vidian nerve and the artery of the pterygoid canal passes through it. This is these two are the pterygoid processes. It lies just above the medial pterygoid process. This is not natural, it has been made. You can see some part of the sphenoidal ear sinus here. The sphenoidal ear sinus, it is cuboidal in shape. The volume of the sphenoidal ear sinus is normally 7.5 milliliter. See the roof of the sphenoidal ear sinus here, and it has lateral wall, it has floor, and it has a septum. The septum is not always in the midline. Sometimes there may be coronal septum, one instead of one there may be two septums or three septums, and it may be incomplete septum also. See here the sphenoidal ear sinus, the roof of the sphenoidal ear sinus, it extends near the sella turcica, and it has a posterior wall, it has an anterior wall, it has a floor, and it has a lateral wall. The lateral wall is most important because in the lateral wall there are elevations for the internal carotid artery and the optic nerve, which is very important. So, roof is formed by the zygums sphenoidally, and the junction between the roof and the posterior wall, you see the sella turcica is there. So, when you are entering into the nasal cavity, you are going to break, or you are going to enter through the sphenoidal ostium, you are going to break the anterior wall, you are going to break some of the nasal septum, and you will enter it. So, relations of the sphenoidal ear sinus are very important, and if you move your endoscope slightly anteriorly, you will break the roof of the nasal cavity, or if you go more posteriorly, you can see the eustachian tube opening here. So, please remember the relations of the eustachian tube here. This is the roof of the sphenoidal ear sinus here, and these are the ethmoidal ear sinuses. This is the posterior ethmoidal group of ear sinus. See there is a big ear sinus, and most probably this one is the Onodi sinus because it lies in contact with the optic nerve here. So, you have to be very careful in this region because sometimes it may be confused with the sphenoidal ear sinus. And here is the internal carotid artery which lies on the lateral side of the ear sinus. These are some of the specimens. Here there are two elevations you can see. This is the anterior side, so optic nerve is here and the internal carotid artery, these two elevations are there, and you can see in between there are two recesses. This recess is opticocarotid recess. Sometimes the internal carotid artery elevations may be very large, and it can touch the opposite side internal carotid artery elevation. So, that situation it is called kissing carotid. You have to be very careful about the kissing carotid. Sometimes the incomplete septums may be attached to these carotid elevations. There are three types of sphenoidal ear sinus: pneumatized and non-pneumatized. Sometimes it is divided into sellar, pre-sellar and the post-sellar. The sellar is the commonest type. The pre-sellar goes up to sella turcica, and the post-sellar ear sinus may reach up to the occipital or the basi-occiput. Here is the elevation of the optic nerve. Here is for the carotid artery. This is the pituitary gland, and this is the recess. And see the ear sinus how it has extended. The inferior concha, middle concha, these are the middle meatus, and the superior concha has been damaged. This is the roof of the nasal cavity, the frontal sinus, and this is the opening of the eustachian tube. You can see the vertebral artery, fourth part of the vertebral artery coming here. Yeah, I was talking about this kind of septums. There may be sometimes coronal septum will be there in the ear sinus. So, this is one type of septum you can encounter. This is the middle meatus with the bulla. See, the sphenoidal ear sinus is here, and this is a coronal septum instead of a sagittal septum. This is a coronal septum, and the ear sinus has extended into the clavus, into the occipital bone. This is the post-sellar type of sphenoidal ear sinus. Sometimes you can encounter overlapping sphenoidal ear sinus. One sinus may come above the other sinus, nasal septum, and different stages of dissection in the same specimen. to dissect the lateral wall of the nasal cavity. So slowly we are dissecting it. This is the bulla, and you can see the ear sinuses. So I'll show you some of the portions of the nasal cavity and the sphenoidal ear sinus in our specimens. These are the meatai, the inferior meatai, the middle meatai. Here is the opening of the maxillary ear sinus. So this is the middle concha, this is the superior one, and the superior meatus. This is the sphenoidal ear sinus. The hypophyseal fossa is here. Okay, you can see is this material is inside the sphenoidal ear sinus. This is the septum, the posterior part of the sphenoidal ear sinus. It has reached up to the clivus. So what I was talking, this is the anterior side and nasal cavity. So what you see is here is the middle concha, and if you go directly straight, you are reaching the eustachian tube opening, and this is the superior concha, and through these spaces you are going to enter into the sphenoidal ear sinus and see these septa. The coronal septa are present here, and this is the optic nerve, optic chiasma is here. There you can see the internal carotid artery. This is the internal carotid artery, and this is the elevation for the carotid artery, and these septa are attached to the elevation of the carotid artery, and this is the recess. This is the elevation for the optic nerve. This is the carotid artery elevation, and this is the opticocarotid recess, and this septum is attached to the this elevation for the carotid artery. There is another septum, and this ear sinus is encroached up to the basal part of the occipital bone here. Again, see that optic nerve is here, and this is the optic elevation, this is the recess, this is the internal carotid artery, and this is the elevation for the internal carotid artery, and small septa are there in the coronal septa is there in the ear sinus. So here you are going to enter into the sinus like this. So thank you all.